Hey everyone, thanks for your support in 2024. We have a lot of cool stuff coming in 2025, and here are some of the things you can look forward to as we move into next year. In the lead up to The Mandalorian and Grogu in 2026, we'll be starting a full series rewatch of both The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett on exploring hyperspace lanes beginning in October. You can also expect a rewatch of Andor, and we will have reviews of every episode of Andor and the rest of the Skeleton Crew as those come out. Josie will be returning as we continue to rank every Star Wars thing released ever. Reviews of every episode of every Marvel Disney Plus show, including Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, The Eyes of Wakanda, Wonder Man, Ironheart, Daredevil Born Again, and Marvel Zombies, the day after each episode releases, will be available on Beware of Spoilers. We'll be having special event podcasts on 30-minute reviews for the Academy Awards, our 2024 year in review in early January, ranking all of Phase 5 of the MCU after Fantastic Four First Steps comes out, and our 10th anniversary special. Once we complete our rankings of all the Pokemon games on the backlog files, we'll be moving on to Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. Over on the YouTube channel, you can join in for playthroughs of Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, Pokemon White, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts Recoded, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, Sonic Adventure 2, LEGO Racers 2, LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, and SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Want to keep on top of all the new things we have coming? Subscribe at mwpnews.com, subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/@mwpnews, or subscribe to Beware of Spoilers, 30-minute reviews, exploring hyperspace lanes, and the backlog files on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, thank you for your support. Good morning and welcome to 30-minute reviews. I am Adam. Take 2, because take 1 didn't record properly. Fortunately, I got the intro done, and then I caught that it wasn't recording. Today we were going to talk about, I forgot what I had on the calendar for today. I have a calendar. Den of Thieves, but we're going to preempt that. I'm going to talk about Captain America: Civil War, because I do really enjoy this movie, and I got held up doing other things, so I couldn't quite do the rewatch that I was hoping to do. Because I got trimmed with other things. But the point is, I think that when we talk about Captain America: Civil War, it's an integral part of several key aspects of what we have in the MCU. And really the success that it had over the years. Because this is the second movie, because Ant-Man came out after it, the first movie of Phase 3, second movie after Age of Ultron. And when this movie came out, it kind of served as the zero issue for the Russo brothers, who were going to be taking over as, Who are going to be taking over as the stewards of the Avengers franchise. It's designed to show, coming off of, let's just address Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. The two of them are cut from kind of the same cloth, and that's not necessarily the best thing. These are very much Joss Whedon's movies, and that is a law of diminishing returns. After seeing Infinity War and after seeing Endgame, I don't have the confidence that Joss Whedon could have handled those two movies, but I do think the Russos could have handled Avengers and Age of Ultron, and handled them better. So what Civil War kind of does is it's kind of a signaling of, we're righting the ship. It's kind of a signal to the audience, like, hey, look, we get it. We understand that there were things in Age of Ultron you didn't like. You didn't like the forced romance between Natasha and Bruce. You didn't like the the way that we handled the entire middle of the movie with Hawkeye's family going back to the farm, to the point where it got lampooned in the Arrow and Flash crossover that year. You didn't like the constant jokes. One of my big issues with the movie is anytime a character gets killed off, it's done with a joke. And it's there's no letting serious moments land in this. And that's kind of a problem. So Civil War comes along, and it's designed to kind of set up where we're going next. And it's like, no, we are going to have moments of levity. There are definitely moments of levity in this movie. And there are great comedic moments that do land. But the serious moments are still the serious moments. T'Chaka doesn't get killed, and we're not sitting there with a joke immediately after. Like we are, we rest on that moment with T'Challa mourning his father. The funeral of Peggy isn't done as a joke. We linger on that moment. And the third act of the movie is this fight between Captain America and Iron Man, and Winter Soldier involved too. And we don't cut away from that to make a joke. It's not handled as a joke. The attempted suicide of Zemo is not a joke. I mean, he's got like there's that great line, but there's no joke. I mean, and you can say that line maybe might count as levity. The line that T'Challa has, "The living aren't done with you yet." Like, at the same time, we're not dealing with a what's it called? We're not dealing with a like the stakes are grounded, and we're going to have intimate character stories that work within these confines of this giant kind of massive implication story. Then comes the other part of it where it's like you don't get Infinity War and Endgame happening the way they do without this movie. This is kind of integral to the world in that way. Because it's like without, like, okay, Thor is fucked off doing Thor things. Banner is presumed dead. Because no one knows where Banner ended up. His ship went missing that he was on, and no one knows where Banner ended up. So he's presumed dead. Although it's like they don't, like, I guess they don't know for certain he's dead. They're just kind of like assuming. So like this fight that happens is a schism that's going to cause Thanos to be able to be what's it called to do what he does in Infinity War. If the Avengers are assembled completely from the beginning, Infinity War does not happen the way it does. So it's kind of integral in that regard too. It's integral in the story of both Sam and Bucky, setting up their dynamic going forward, but also it's integral to making sure that Sam Wilson is shown to continue to just do the right thing, even if the rest of the world is standing against him. There's that line from the comic that I love that they use there, where it's at Peggy's funeral, and it's Sharon who says it. When the entire world's standing against you, and telling you to move, you have to stand firm and say, no, you move. And that is kind of the motif of the movie. They are wrong, we are right, and we're going to stand firm, and we are going to stand up for what we believe in. And to that end, I think that this movie does stand well on that regard. And then the other thing this movie does is it sets up Black Panther. And for this movie to come out, what was it? So, Batman v Superman came out in March, end of March, because it was Easter weekend, because it's the Passion of the Christ. It came out on Good Friday of 2016. In May, the first week of May 2016, Civil War comes out, and it's, it is doing a similar thing. It's a fight between the two heroes. We've set up who these heroes are, so we give a shit about the both of them. We're introducing a bunch of new characters, and we're kind of laying it out, because, like, that's the thing, is, like, this is the second appearance of Wanda. This is the second appearance of Vision. This is the first appearance for T'Challa. Like, this is the first appearance of Spider-Man. Like, these are, like, this movie introduces more characters in less screen time than Batman v Superman does. But it flows better here. It's more organically part of the plot. Like, T'Challa is, like, a larger, more impactful role than Wonder Woman is in Batman v Superman. But the reason it works is because we're sitting here and it's like, we have, from the beginning, tied him in his story with everything else. So that way it's an integral part of it, and you can't separate it out. You can remove Wonder Woman entirely from the events of Batman v Superman, and very little actually changes. And the same goes for the cameo from Aquaman, the cameo from The Flash, the cameo from Cyborg. And that's why this movie works so much better. And I don't want to sit here and just shit on Batman v Superman. I don't need to take too much more time doing that at this point. If you've listened to the show for as long as the show's been on, and we're slowly uploading the old episodes, but if you've been listening to this show since the beginning, you know I have my misgivings about that movie. There are things I like, things I don't. But regardless, like, the point is, Like, this movie is kind of like, and you know what? We give the Russos a lot of credit. I think the Russos get, I would say, probably undue credit in this. I think that the other people who replaced Whedon deserve a lot of credit, and that's Marcus and McFeely, the writers, Stephen Marcus and Christopher McFeely, because this movie and Infinity War and Endgame do not work unless the script is as tight as it is. Which is why even when they made the announcement that the Russos were coming back, I was hesitant because I don't think the Russos are the secret sauce that made the Captain America movies and the two Avengers movies work. It's Marcus and McFeely dealing with these huge casts of characters, making sure everyone has something to do. Like, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Probably my favorite script, and I know this is probably an unpopular opinion, but my favorite script from 2018 is Infinity War. And the reason for that is Infinity War is a masterclass in making sure you're wasting not a single bit of screen time, not a single bit of the run, not everything about that movie tells the story. You hit the ground running, and the key thing about that movie that really works is the minute you're jumping in, it is designed where if you have seen only Age of Ultron, if you have seen, well, let's say Age of Ultron and Civil War, because those are the only movies that made $1 billion, like, they said what they were trying to do was make a movie that was entirely accessible if you were someone who had not seen, you don't have to have seen The Dark World. You don't have to have seen Ragnarok. You don't have to have seen, Guardians of the Galaxy. You just, you can come in and we will give you all the information you need, and you'll get to know it. And that's like, the quintessential scene of that is the introduction of the Guardians, where, they're in the cockpit of I believe it's the Benatar at the time, and because the Milano's the first one, the second one's the Benatar. They're all in the cockpit, they're flying, they're listening to music, and they lay out what they're gonna do. It's like, oh, we got a distress signal. That could be something cool, and we'll go there, and there are people who will need help, and they'll pay us for helping them. If they don't pay us, we'll steal their ship. Like, they are these morally nebulous kind of pirates, almost, that rock out to 70s music and hang out in space, and it lays out exactly who they are from that moment on. And Civil War is a lot of that too. Everyone is kind of laid out from the beginning. You don't need to know everything from all the past movies. You can kind of just get what you need. And even things like Black Panther, like, he's introduced here. You don't need to have the entire backstory of Wakanda, the entire backstory of him and T'Chaka, or anything like that. It just works for what it is. And then let's look forward to where this goes with, what was the next one after this, with where we're going next, which is Captain America Brave New World. I am not overly confident in Brave New World. Like, because here's the thing. There's another movie that is kind of in the same space of the MCU, and that's Iron Man 2. It's this movie where it's like, this is an integral part of world building to set up what's needed in this world to be able to move forward. But I think this is going to trend closer to Iron Man 2, and let me explain why. I think that there's less riding on Civil War in the long term. The things you need to set up in Civil War are far less, urgent, I guess would be the right word. When you're setting up what's coming next in Civil War, what you really need to just set up is here's what Wakanda is, here's Black Panther, he is, he's going to, as they said in the Honest trailer, he's going to stand into he's going to stare into the mid-ground and deliver dramatic soliloquies, and he's going to dress like a cat and beat the fuck out of people. Really, all you need to know. It's just that Spider-Man as this kid from Queens who's being mentored by Tony Stark, and that's going to be what he's doing, in Homecoming next year. Like, you don't really need to go too much deeper than that in terms of setting up who these characters are. The same goes for, setting up the broader universal implications. we're sending the Winter Soldier to be deprogrammed. He's just gonna be deprogrammed, and he's gonna be Bucky again, and he's not gonna have to worry about being, sleeper awakened by the, what's it called, by someone with the book. Um, you know, Sam is going to continue to come into his own. The Avengers are now fractured, and really that's what it is that this is a huge gap that kind of happens. Even if I would say the argument that leads to it is not the most important thing. Um, Either way, the point I'm trying to make is, like, it's not trying to lay out the entire world going forward. And I think that the indications that we're seeing from Brave New World is that it's kind of trying to do that, which is a lot of what Iron Man 2 tried to do. We're establishing this is a world where Captain America existed at one point. The post-credit scene is going to set up Thor. We're setting up, the broader issues of what's going on with, Shield, and we're building towards the Avengers and all of that. I think we're going to be closer to that than we're going to be to setting up what's the important thing, here, which is what's Captain America doing in the aftermath of this movie. And I think at the end of the day that, like, look, even if this movie doesn't do that, which I think it will, only because we're getting this stuff with the leader, we're getting this stuff with, we have the Serpent Societies in the movie, we have we have Sabra there, we have Falcon, and then we have Captain America, and we have to reintroduce this new Falcon. And on top of that too, it's like the new Falcon really wasn't introduced before because the movie's kind of like not really acknowledging the TV show, which is, I think, kind of a misstep. Especially considering the movie was announced on the heels of the success of the TV show, and it's weird because, like, Isaiah Bradley is there, but, like, at the same time, it's like, all right, we're just gonna, pretend people have watched it or didn't watch it. The marketing material is trying to make it seem like you don't have to have watched it, but we'll see how deep that actually is in real life. And then comes the big question that this leaves me with, like, is this movie going to end in a place where I feel satisfied with what I've watched? And I feel like there are a lot of plates in the air. I'm going to reserve judgment until the movie comes out. I'm very interested to see how they can get all these plates down without shattering them. Because, again, all the Hulk stuff, all of the, the stuff with, Tiamat sticking out of the ocean. Like, there's a lot of things like that are kind of iffy. But we'll wrap up there for today. Next week, we will be doing our top 10 movies and other things that me and Peter always do. We're recording that next weekend. It goes up on Monday. Sorry, I'm tired. The week after that, Oscar predictions with the Academy Award nominations coming out next week. The Academy Award predictions will go up the week after. And then after that, we have something else on the calendar. I forgot what it is. Tomorrowland. But we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.